What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the GOAT Breakdown. I'm your host, Kylan, aka Harlan the GOAT, and today I got a banger for y'all. Okay, I'm telling y'all, we got a banger. But before we go ahead and get to today's show and today's topics, I want to let y'all know that possibly throughout the rest of the show, you might hear a beeping noise periodically just pop into the audio or whatever. At the moment, I have no control over that noise. I cannot fix it at the moment physically, but I will try and do my best to, while editing this episode, go in and try and fix it or reduce that noise or the sound, or just try and cover it up as much as possible. But now that that's out the way, let's go ahead and get into today's topics. All right, y'all. So the first topic we're going to get into is WWE SummerSlam. Now, SummerSlam, at the time of recording this, just happened last Saturday. And boy, was it good. It was really good. Of course, you have that one or two matches that just don't really hold up to the rest of the card. And there were two of those, at least for me. But before we go ahead and get to that, let's go ahead and get into, for me, the match of the night. The match that I think everybody was expecting to be as good as it was, and that was the big main event. That's right, the Tribal Combat or the Bloodline storyline, that just took place. It was better than I thought, because I was expecting there to be some, twists and turns, and obviously some things, we just expect to have in a match whenever the Bloodline is even part of a main event. Things are going to happen that, you're just so used to at this point now. But for those of y'all who don't know, the Bloodline is basically one big storyline that they have been working on for almost close to 4 years now. This storyline has been built, I think, since the beginning of the COVID era for WWE. So back in 2020, when Roman Reigns first captured the WWE Universal Championship. This is before he grabbed the WWE Championship as well, but when he grabbed the Universal Championship, this is what kicked it off. Then you start to add in more members like the Usos, Solo Sikoa, even Sami Zayn at some point. This storyline has been amazing, top tier. It's been the top storyline in WWE, like I said, for the past 3 years. And of course, with the champion being Roman Reigns, someone who has been dominant for like I said, the past 3 years as champion, who has surpassed 1,000 days as champion. A lot of people have been looking at him and the Uso, the Bloodline in general, as a very stale kind of storyline and stale kind of match. Because you know what's gonna happen. It happens every single time, no matter what. But the way they did this big tribal combat match with Roman versus Jay, one half of the Usos, was amazing. It was amazing. The entire build up to it, the build up was it started like months ago up until this past Saturday. So you have Roman and Jay, obviously in the basically no holds barred kind of rules kind of match. And of course, since it's no holds barred kind of match, you gotta get the interference, the solo, which we did. But as a fan of both the Usos, Roman, the Bloodline in general, I was kind of on both sides. I was on the side of, one, I already know Roman is he's going to win. He's going to retain the belt. Because there's no point of giving it to Jay. Again, that's not taking anything away from Jay, but Roman has to win. He has to hold this belt. He has to. And I love that they did it and the way they did it, because usually for most WWE fans, if you've been watching for years now, like most of us have, that when you watch a certain person or certain people feud together or even work together for a long period of time in the WWE, they have a formula. Each of their matches have a certain formula, and the matches sometimes either end the same way every time, depending on who that person is. For the past 3 years, every main event Roman Reigns has had has ended the same way. Either outside interference for Roman, for him to retain the belt. And that's what they've been doing. It is what it is. And that's how this match is win as well. But the twist was Jimmy. Was Jimmy coming out and turning on Jay. Now, for the longest time, Jimmy and Jay, they've been like two peas in a pod. You know, everybody knows this. If you watch professional wrestling, you know this. And most recently, I seen an interview they did on YouTube where they were sitting down. They were talking about their journey, their careers, their family, the bloodline as a whole. But at one point in the interview, they were asked a question: will we ever see the Usos, the brothers, go one-on-one with each other? Have that moment in the spotlight together? And they said, yeah, that was their dream. That was their goal, to fight each other, to go one-on-one with each other, because they feel like they take it back to, when they were a kid, to when they in the living room, putting each other in headlock, DDTs, all that different stuff. And you felt that, you know what I'm saying? At least for me, someone who grew up a wrestling fan, did the same exact thing as well, my brother. You felt that they've been wanting this to happen for quite some time. And now we are finally getting it. It is a bittersweet moment for fans of the Usos as a tag team, but at the same time, this happens to every great tag team that ever is and was. There is a moment where the team decides, we're done. We got to switch, and then they go at it with each other. And the chemistry that they have, not only as a tag team, but as professionals, the chemistry they're going to have with each other in the ring, on the mic, is going to be phenomenal. I cannot wait to see what happens tomorrow night, because at the time we're recording, this is a Thursday. Tomorrow night is Friday, and we're going to see them come face to face, hopefully. And so, yeah, like the Bloodline, the Usos, that entire match, it was the highlight of the night. It was the highlight of the night for sure. But, there's a few other matches that were on the card. And there was a few matches, like I said at the beginning, that they just did not hold up, And one of them being, which something I was kind of shocked about, considering the ladies who are in, this match. And that was the triple threat match for the WWE Women's Championship held by Asuka. That match, for me, did not hold up to the standard, That was also one of those bathroom break matches, you know what I'm saying? And again, I know for a lot of people, this match, this was, for some people, this was their match of the night. I'm not sure who those people are, you know what I'm saying? But this is what their match of the night. But for me, just sitting there watching, I didn't even finish the whole entire thing. I left for a point and came back and, checked in. It just didn't hold up for me. And for me, I think it was Charlotte. I think it was Charlotte. Because every time I see Charlotte in a triple threat match that does not have the four horsewomen or one member of the four horsewomen, I think for me it just falls flat. It really does. And that's not taking anything away from the other ladies that were in this match, Bianca and Asuka. Because Asuka, she held her own, for sure. She held her own. I think Asuka is kind of what helped save this match a little bit. But it was some of the spots, some of the moves that were being performed. It just, they botched a lot of moves. They did. They truly did. And Charlotte, for someone who does a moonsault quite often, her moonsault for me as of late, every time she does it, it looks worse and worse time and time again. And again, that's just my opinion. It just has not been the same since she first debuted and first won that women's championship. It just hasn't. And they continue to push her over and over. I'm like, okay, what's the point? But one of the big turning points of the match that really surprised me was Bianca. So Bianca Belair, she's the longest reigning Raw Women's Champion in the history. It's simple as that, I'm not taking anything away from her. Bianca is great. I really do love Bianca in the ring. Like she goes out there and she puts her all into everything. But in this match, she was thrown over the top rope at one point, right? Thrown over the top rope, hit the floor. When I tell you the scream that she let out, it sound absolutely horrifying. You know what I'm saying? Like, she let out a scream that would put Samara Weaving to shame. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on now. Like, if y'all know Samara Weaving, you know she can scream. You know, she has the vocals for that. Bianca let out a sound that just told everyone, oh, she is in pain. She is legitimately hurt. And usually in WWE, whenever someone is actually like legit, like something has gone wrong, they throw up this thing called an X, basically where the referee makes an X with their arms and up to like the camera crew or paramedics, let them know, hey, yo, get somebody out here. This is real. We gotta. They legitimately hurt. And I thought we were gonna get that at one point because the sound that she let out, the tears, the crying that she legit was doing, I'm like, oh, she is in pain. Like something has gone wrong. She goes away, right? You know, they bring the paramedics out there. She goes away and like, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes later, she comes back out. I'm like, oh, okay. You pulled the McFoley. Okay. She comes out and she actually wins the match. Bianca wins the match. And at that moment, I'm like, I don't care to see this. Because I think Bianca, she needs to turn heel. You know, I feel like a heel moment for Bianca will go a long way for her. She should have turned heel a long time ago when she was the champion, but, you know, it didn't work out like that. But her going heel now, it just makes complete sense. I think she needs this for her career. For her going forward in the WWE, she needs this heel change. But after Bianca won the belt, we get a cash in from the women's Money in the Bank holder, Io Sky. For those of you who might not know who I'm talking about, she also went by Io Shirai back in NXT. But Io, she cashes in and wins the belt. And for me, I think this is the best decision they could have made. Cashing in on Bianca, who is already injured, quote unquote injured. And I think, personally, I think she kind of saved the match. She saved the ending for that match. Because one, she has been over for quite some time. Ever since Backlash in Puerto Rico, her match, I think it was against Bianca. They wanted to, everybody wanted to see Io win, you know. The crowd was electric. You know, they were chanting her name. And it was just like, for me, I think it was just like a random match. And I'm like, I need Io to win. I need her to do this. And she finally got what, you know, she deserves. You know, she deserves this belt. I cannot wait to see what they do with her and the damage control, that whole thing going on. Because, you know, they had a few moments with her and Bayley. I think that's what they're building up to. But hopefully, you know, we get a little bit more information on that at a later date. But yeah, that match, it took me out at some points. It really did. Along with the Shayna and Ronda. Now, I have voiced my opinion on Ronda Rousey in the ring quite often, mainly over there on TikTok. Personally, and again, this is just me, I don't like Ronda Rousey. I don't think her presence in this women's division is not doing anything for the WWE women's division. It's not. If you think it's hindering it, because you're giving Ronda Rousey these opportunities, just handing them to her without actually having to earn it, you know? And then you pair her with Shayna Baszler, which I think was a poor choice in the first, you know, just poor choice in the first place, putting them as a team. I kind of feel like they just dragged Shayna down, you know? Shayna Baszler goes from NXT, like one of the most dominant NXT world champions, women's champions, ever since Asuka. You bring her to the main roster, she destroys everyone in that Elimination Chamber match. And this was the one right before Becky left and dropped the title. Shayna eliminated every single woman in that entire match. Picked them off one by one. And then nothing happens. So now we're at a point to where, you know, they finally get fed up. Shayna finally turns on Ronda. And that's how we get this match here at SummerSlam. This match, hands down, probably one of the worst matches I have seen in wrestling in general in a very long time. Hands down, the worst match of the night, worst match of the year. And I can't blame Ronda. No, I can't blame Shayna too much because she has to wrestle Ronda. She has to wrestle Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey has no in-ring wrestling capabilities at all. She doesn't. Every match she's ever been in, she has been carried by every opponent she's had. And Shayna Baszler, who I know for a fact can really go. She can do this. She's proven it before. Putting her up against this match just made Shayna look horrible. Made her look awful. And I'm like, although I see what they tried to do, boost Shayna, y'all, I feel like they did a little bit more damage because y'all made Shayna look horrible. You really did by making her go up against Ronda. Like, a lot of people have been saying that, this match, it looked really choreographed. It looked like that because apparently they had the MMA rules for this match because both Shayna and Ronda, both former UFC competitors. And if you go back and watch the match, you can tell that it does not look good. It does look very choreographed. It does not look MMA at all. Not at all. Now, the results after the match, especially on Shayna, you can beg to differ a little bit. If you didn't watch that match and you seen Shayna after it, though, you can be like, okay, they went hard. No, they didn't. Not at all. But again, I know that they rushed his storyline. They really did because apparently Ronda Rousey she's leaving the WWE. I don't know if it's retirement or anything like that, but I heard a rumor or report that Ronda might be heading back to the UFC. How true that is now because she has a child, I highly doubt that. But hey, we never know. We never know. But that was pretty much everything I have. Just talking about the SummerSlam, it was a great event. I give it an 8 out of 10. Mainly due to the women's matches, which I really had hopes for that triple threat match. It just did not hold up well at all. But y'all, I told y'all I had a few reviews. You know what I'm saying? I had some reviews for y'all. There's a show, right? There's a show that you can watch on Starz, or if you got like the Starz channel on Prime Video, you can also watch it there. And this is also somewhat wrestling related. If you are a fan of professional wrestling, mainly like behind the scenes, and the story and stuff like that, I highly recommend watching this show. I watched the first season. That season 2 just dropped. They got 2 episodes out. I'm loving it 100%. I truly love this show. And that is Heels. That's right, Heels. This stars Stephen Amell. I forgot the other actor name who plays his brother in here. You also got Kelly Berglund. I know this is right, one of them. She played Bree Davenport on Lab Rats. So she is very well known. She's playing a lot of other things as well, a few different movies. And of course, Stephen Amell as the Green Arrow. He also made a short-lived wrestling appearance in the WWE as the Green Arrow a while back. But this show is absolutely amazing. It's not your standard wrestling show. I don't know if anybody ever seen the movie The Wrestler. That's what this show kind of gives me. The life of professional wrestlers, especially like independent scene. That's what this is. This is not the big league. This is not the WWE level kind of story or wrestling that a lot of people are used to. This is basically like the lives of indie wrestlers. They have jobs outside of performing every night or every week. You know what I'm saying? And this is a different dynamic. I know that there was a movie I think that's what this show is based off of. It's called Heels. You can watch it on Prime Video as well. It was called Heel, but that was about 2 adoptive brothers taking over their families or their father's wrestling company. This is basically the same thing, but of course they're not adopted in here, and their father, he's gone now. So they take it over and try and make it, what it was before. I don't want to spoil too much for it if anyone who's not seen it, because I highly recommend going and watching it. But man, when you talk about storytelling, and I don't mean storytelling from a wrestling standpoint, because there's a lot of that in the show. Again, the show is basically like a brother by the name of Jack Spade, Stephen Amell's character, who has to run the DWL. That's the name of this wrestling promotion. He has to write all the scripts. He has to write the matches, outcomes, all of this. Also dealing with the family drama behind, of course, the loss of his father, and also his brother Ace, who is the story is insane. You know, the outside lives is insane, and the roles they play in the DWL as their wrestling personas are kind of, you know, they reflect their real lives as well. Which it, again, like I said, you have to watch it because I can't really get into it without spoiling it. But it's something about good storytelling like this, and everybody in this show is absolutely top tier. Their acting ability is top tier. For Stephen Amell, he has been great in everything I've seen him in so far. I think ever since Arrow, this is definitely one of his best performances that I have seen him in. I'm pretty sure he's had other ones, but Stephen Amell, he's really digging into this. I know he has a legit passion for wrestling as a whole, a lot of behind the scenes as well. You know, like I said, he did have a short little mini run with the WWE back in the day, and you can tell that he really enjoys this. I love to see him as Jack Spade. I love to see him going through real life, you know, kind of struggles that the average person, you know, would go through. And also with just that stress of loss of his father, his brother, his family situation, while all trying to keep this company afloat long enough to really build it back up to what it was. And all the obstacles he has to jump over in order to complete that is what really captivates, you know, this story, captivate the show. Everything else around it really pulls it together. I'm telling y'all, like, if you're looking for a new show to watch, even if you're not a wrestling fan, the storytelling, the writing behind this show is top tier. I highly recommend you go watch it ASAP. It's on Starz. It's called Heels. Season 2 is out. Okay, season 2 has started. It is a weekly episode thing, so kind of like your average, you know, wrestling or TV show, just period, comes out each week. That's exactly what this is. It's not a all at one thing, which I love that it's not a, you don't get all of it at once like you would get like on like based like a Netflix or, you know, a HBO Max from time to time. But I love that this is a weekly episodic thing, because I feel like you stretch it out, you get a little bit more, you know, you talk about it more, you know. But yeah, definitely go check this out if you can, because I promise you won't regret it. But there's another, this is more of a movie. This is Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Now, I'm not going to spoil too much about it, even though it is on Disney Plus now. I'm not going to spoil too much about it for the first few minutes, but, you know, let's go ahead and get into it. This movie is absolutely amazing. It is truly amazing. The Guardians of the Galaxy, for me, I think James Gunn really, first off, he made them a household name. Because if you were not a comic book fan, no one knew who the Guardians of the Galaxy were. And that's a fact. You know, no one knew who they were. No one knew who Star-Lord was, Rocket, Gamora, none of that. And now we do. They are a household name. You have Groot's, baby Groot's toys everywhere. T-shirts, the soundtracks, everything about this is put a lot of people onto a lot of different music as well. Because music in Guardians of the Galaxy is a big thing in all three of the films. But I just love this entire trilogy. I really do. I love these characters. I love their story arc. And this movie in particular, it really made me feel things that I really haven't felt before while watching any of the, you know, the previous two Guardians of the Galaxy movies. Mainly because for a lot of people, this is the movie, the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, right after like kind of the events of Endgame and Infinity War, you know? Because we don't really see them in do we see them in Endgame? I don't remember seeing any of these characters in Endgame, anything like that. Last time we seen them was, of course, in Thor: For the Love of Thunder, and their journeys are completely different now. The background that we got on a lot of these characters is amazing. It's amazing, you know, because for the first film we got a lot of Star-Lord, you know, his background or whatever. A lot of like the characters, like who they were. In number 2, Star-Lord really found out more about himself, his family, his father, different stuff like that as usual. And in 3, we get to something Rocket. You know, we get to Rocket. And Rocket's story, his past, his journey, bro, it is insane. It was insane to sit and sit and watch, because the things that, first off, the things that Rocket went through, I understand why he is how he is as of now. You know, I understand why he always is somewhat sort of grouchy. He has every right to be. Every right to be. But first off, Rocket is a genius. If you haven't watched this movie, go watch it and you understand why I call him a genius. The man's on a different level of geniusness. And it's amazing. I don't want to really spoil too much about it, but James Gunn kills it every time. He kills it every time. All three of these movies, they're so different, but yet they're so similar in tone. You know what I'm saying? James Gunn, he knows how to he knows how to balance. Am I right? You know what I'm saying? Like, he knows how to balance, obviously, the comedy with the seriousness, and also like touch you on an emotional level. You know what I'm saying? There are certain points in this movie where I almost shed a thug tear. You know what I'm saying? You know, I almost shed a thug tear because it was crazy. It was crazy. And let me tell y'all, the villain in this movie, he might be worse than Thanos. He might be worse than Thanos. And that's saying the line says Thanos killed half of the planet. This man, I forgot what his name was. Now, I thought I had wrote it down in my notes, but no, the High Evolutionary was crazy, bro. Like, he gave 0 Fs. He did not care. And he showed that. He really showed that. He's like, he had me lost at words from the stuff that he was. I'm like, oh, you're evil. You are a sick human being, or sick whatever he was. He was absolutely sick. But oh man, it was crazy. It was crazy. And even though this was like pretty Rocket heavy, you know, Rocket backstory heavy, should I say? The other characters around, like Star-Lord and this newer Gamora, and even Drax, I forgot her name, the chick with the antennas. This was emotional. Okay, it was a very emotional film. This was the last movie. The last movie we're gonna see all of them in quite a while. Because you know, Dave Bautista, I think he said that this was it for him. He does not want to play the character Drax anymore, and you know, I get it. You know, you've been at this for quite some time now. You know, you got to exit. You got to make an exit. But hopefully this is not the last time we see Zoe Saldana, Karen Gillan, Palm. I forgot her last name, but Palm, who plays Mantis. That's a character name, Mantis. Or even Rocket and Groot. Hopefully we see them in a lot of different things, which I think we will, because thanks to the Marvels, I think we might see them in the Marvels as well, possibly in the Eternals, different things like that whenever they return. But we do know for a fact that Star-Lord will return. Little spoiler alert. Star-Lord is on Earth now. He's on Earth. So we might be seeing him a little bit more often than the rest of the team, which is fine, you know what I'm saying? But I think we should keep an eye out for the Marvels. I'm telling y'all, keep an eye out for the Marvels, because I know y'all, listen, I know a lot of people out there, they think that the Marvels is not gonna really set up for too much, but I'm letting y'all know there are a lot of cosmic level heroes who are in space that they have a reputation with Captain Marvel and even Photon, that's basically Monica Rambeau. But I'm telling y'all better pay attention, because I'm just gonna say it. I think we might see Nova. I think we might see Nova. You know, because listen, we already got Adam Warlock. We got Adam Warlock already, thanks to this movie, Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So I think we're gonna be seeing. We might even see the rest of the team in the Marvels, possibly. But yeah, this is definitely a movie that, if you have not seen it, please go watch it. Make sure you got yourself a box of tissues with you, because you're gonna need them. I'm for real. You are going to need them, because like, a movie has not made me feel this type of way since Endgame, since the death of Tony Stark. Like, I was literally, oh my God, I was on the edge. I was on the edge of crying, y'all. I'm telling y'all. But that is all. Okay, that is all that I have for y'all this week. Next week, I will have a few more exciting topics, should I say? You know what I'm saying? But before we end out on the show, I have a trivia question for y'all. That's right, trivia question. So with this great trivia question, I will go ahead and tell y'all the question, and I will pick a winner. And next week, I will announce that winner here on the show, and I will give you a little shout out here on the show. So today's trivia question is, who was the original creator of Ultron? If you know that answer, go ahead and leave it down in my DMs, either on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, or X, you know, that's what we call it now, X, or Threads. All of the social media handles are Harlan the Goat. If you do not know how to spell that, I will leave it down in the show notes here on Spotify, or I will leave it over in the description over there on YouTube. But that's all I have for y'all this week, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.